I'm Jenny Abbot. I'm the Executive Director at the Advocates of Lake County. ALC was founded in 1982 by a group of concerned citizens who felt the need to address the high rates of intimate partner violence and sexual violence as well in their community. Over the years, ALC has grown and has now served thousands and thousands of victims and survivors in the greater Lake County region. Domestic violence or intimate partner violence is pervasive. It's everywhere. There are humans in our world. In rural areas, it can be very difficult for victims and survivors to find meaningful services that are accessible and attainable to them because of our geographic restrictions. So ALC grew out of a need to not rely on surrounding communities for those services, but to have them here within our community. And one of the things we see a lot of here in Lake County is generational trauma. So some of the families in this community have been here for 5 or 6 generations consistently, and in that time have lived through a lot of boom and bust cycles, which cause a great deal of instability on an individual level, a family level, and a community level. And so that socio-ecological impact is profound, and the generational trauma just cannot be overstated. So we know that some of the things that make people more vulnerable to violence include economic instability, housing instability, inability to meet their basic needs. Folks who are experiencing those challenges on the day-to-day are more likely to experience violence statistically. So we as an entity devote resources to creating those supports for our clients so that they, over time, can have a more violence-free, safer life. We have really at ALC come to see violence as a public health pandemic. Violence is a huge problem in any human society, and intimate partner violence as a subset has a lot of nuances that make it even more complicated. So we take a public health approach to solving that problem. Obviously, we have our interventions, direct services with survivor services, crisis services, long-term stability, such as transitional housing and civil legal and clinical, and for homeless services, the same thing. However, we are the advocates of Lake County. So we can't only be looking at what we need to be doing on an individual level in a direct service capacity. We also need to be advocating for systems change at a broader level. So in addition to direct service, we also take a violence prevention approach, looking at what causes violence in the first place and what can we do as an entity. Through that work, we're really looking at the upstream causes of violence. What is at the root of a lot of the problems we're seeing? So here we have things like a housing shortage. When people are not stably housed, they are in environments that are more prone to violence. One of the things we've been working on this past few years is the homeless services program, working with folks who are unhoused in our community. That program, much like our survivor and victim services direct service program, includes emergency interventions, but also looks at long-term solutions as they pertain to an individual's life, such as economic stability, Do folks need help acquiring the clothing that is necessary to go to a job interview, for instance? That's something that we could provide. Again, with the long-term game plan to help them achieve more stability and be less susceptible to violence. So when I think about ALC's future, I just think of all the incredible people who are in this community already, or have been drawn to this community and will be here soon, or are growing up in this community and just are excited to give back to their community. All of that passion that falls within that group, and how lucky we are here to have such dedicated people to looking at our challenges and seeing what we can do to improve. I don't think that every community can boast of such a committed group of people who just want to make things better for the next generation.